Team, how are you all? I hope you're all very well and still keeping your head down away from this COVID-19 virus. So look, here in Chilmark, it's a Saturday, and I stood the team down yesterday because we still hadn't got the government sign off. But by last night, I'd stood the team back up, and we've just issued mission-specific training and orders to the first wave of people that are going to go out in response to COVID-19 on behalf of Team Rubicon. Now, I want to bring you all up to speed on exactly what's happened over the last couple of days and what's going to happen now, and where we are as an organisation, and what this means for us and for the country. The Department for Culture, Media and Sport, DCMS, has been given the responsibility by the government for the voluntary sector's response to COVID. Now, DCMS is not geared to these kind of leadership decisions and this kind of coordination of an operation of this scale, this complexity. They're just not built for that. And we did mission analysis on behalf of DCMS over a week ago now, looking at the entire UK mission and making our recommendations to them as to what the first steps would be, to getting a grip of this problem, understanding the need, and then how to start solving that. For those of you who've seen in the Times and Sky News, Team Rubicon UK being referenced, we keep being referenced as these expert military planners, which I think is a bit of a false representation. But we have been doing this planning for the government, and what we then submitted to them was the part we could play in it with the cost for 12 weeks, because that's what they asked us to do for the first 12 weeks. We have now been held up in government bureaucracy for 7 days, waiting to get the green light to go. And last night, I still hadn't heard back. And of course, that means it will drift over the weekend. But we needed DCMS sign-off for two reasons initially. First was authorisation to act, and the second was funding. But because we've done so much work with the volunteer mechanism in the UK, which is called the VCSEP, so that's the Emergency Partnership of Voluntary Organisations, the Red Cross, with the MOD, because we've done so much work to get this thing over the line, we no longer needed authorisation, because actually they're all screaming out for us to stand our capability up. So then the last thing is funding, but we've always lived in funding pain. So I left here last night ready to stand down and wait for authorisation and funding. But by the time I got home, I just knew we couldn't wait. The country is in such trouble right now, and the local resilience networks are completely overwhelmed because they were not designed to be stood up at the same time. Like, a pandemic of this scale just hadn't been anticipated, and there isn't enough voluntary sector workers to deal with what's happening here at the moment. So the government DCMS department is overwhelmed. The local resilience forums are overwhelmed. There isn't enough people to get into this, and they're screaming for us to stand up because we're part of the solution. And so when I got home last night, I just knew we had to do something, because that's what we do. We lean in when everyone else backs up. So I made the call last night to Nick Parker and said, we're going to stand up anyway. And he instantly had my back. We have to act. So we are standing up our capability, and I'll brief it all to you in a moment. But right now, we're doing it without the government funding. So we are going to throw the dice, deploy the grey shirts, start delivering effect, because, and as I just said in the orders to the teams that are going out, I've been thinking about how to say this over and over and over, because it can sound trite, but our country needs us right now. And in a way that I just can't say it in a different way. The UK, our country, our people need us. And the gravity of that is sitting so heavy. It's so sobering, because if we don't deliver, people in the UK are going to suffer, and some will die. And I've just got to leave that sit, because this is huge, what we're about to do. We are going to step forward when our country needs us most, and we don't necessarily have the money to get through that. I am confident I can go and get it, but we're going to step into the fray now, because this is what we've done in the past in Mozambique, in the Bahamas, and now it's time to do it here. Because we can, we must. It's as simple as that. And I can't wait for the government bureaucracy to catch up anymore, because we're action orientated. So we're launching now. Now, what does that look like? Um, 15 grey shirts will now be deploying out into the military liaison network regionally, and they will have to very quickly tomorrow establish themselves as part of the military planning cells in the regions, because they're going to have to start mapping the unmet need across the UK rapidly, because at the moment nobody really knows what's happening across the country, whose needs are being met, whose aren't, what new needs are emerging, because all of those charities in the regions had a day job before COVID. They were feeding people, they were doing social outreach. Like, there is now unprecedented amounts of unmet need across the UK. So the LOs are our advanced recce screen. They're going to get out and rapidly assimilate the information, ingratiate themselves into the military team, and build a common operating picture. At the same time, 10 people are going to deploy here to Chilmark. They will be standing up tomorrow to create a national incident management cell or a national volunteer coordination cell. So that will start collating the strategic picture that's gathered by the LOs out in the regions. When we fuse that together, we create a national operating picture, a national common operating picture on behalf of the government and the volunteer emergency partnerships sector. So then we can start sharing this information to show people across the UK where the needs are and where they're not being met. This national cell as well will be starting to gather all of the available voluntary resource from across the UK and new voluntary resource. So where organisations are saying they've got 500 people that want to volunteer, we will then be collating that there, matching it against unmet need and tasking them down to the regions. And this is massive. Team Rubicon, little Team Rubicon UK, is going to be taking command of the voluntary response to COVID across the UK. And we'll be trying to get the right organisations into the right places to deliver the effect that's so needed for the UK people. And I can't emphasise enough how massive that is and how important it is that we get this right. As soon as that's established, we're going to switch fire very quickly into then mobilising our grey shirts into direct task lines. We're going to do a call with the government to mobilise the veteran community as a whole to come in as spontaneous volunteers, working with our strike teams, addressing areas of the most acute need in the UK. Already I know that Doncaster has a very, very shallow amount of volunteers that can deliver the need. It had problems before, so it had a lot of charity activity happening. So we start to isolate these cold spots of volunteer sector resource, and then get a grey shirt task line in there, bolster it up with more veteran volunteers, and start delivering. So whilst we start off with a strategic coordination piece for the sector, we very quickly then have to get to our core business as well, which is delivering aid to people that need it most, when they need it most. So we are about to take off for the next 12 to 24 weeks. It's an uncertain time for us as an organisation, for all of us at home with our families, and as a country, this is a massively uncertain time. But it makes me incredibly proud to know all of you, and to watch the 22 that we've just given orders to not even blink at the scale and the magnitude of this task. When everyone else is having to go and isolate, when the world is backing up, our people are leaning in. And I am beyond proud to know you all. And like I just said to them on the orders, which was by digital means, I hope I can convey to them and to you how much I appreciate you. And how much this organisation needs you over this next 3 months. But more than that, how much our country needs us to get this right. That is a big thing to say, but it is our duty to step forward now. This is what we chose. We chose this place. Like, I chose this job, the full-time team chose this job, you all chose this, and now it's time that we have to live up to these choices. These things come around in life. For those that have served in the military or the emergency services, there comes a time when you have to step forward into that choice you've made and deliver to the very best of your ability. And that is now. We walk towards the trouble. There is so many organisations at the moment backing away from the problem, backing away from the trouble, and that includes central government, because the scale of this thing is too big and they just can't get their heads around it, so they're backing up. So we're going to lean in and we're going to walk towards that trouble, because there's people in the UK that need it. There's people in the UK that are struggling to feed themselves right now. We are going to walk in and we're going to lean towards that problem. And no one has ever planned to do something like this. This organisation has never done anything like this. So everything from this day forward is new business. So we have to approach it like that. We can't. Our thinking can't be constrained by our history, by what we think we were and what we think we did. And I need you all to come with that, because we might be asking you to do something you weren't planning on doing, but our country needs us to do it. And I have just spoken to the regional LOs and the strategic LOs that we're going out to the regions. They have my unfettered authorization to use their judgment to make calls on behalf of Team Rubicon to forward the UK's mission. And they do that with my complete support. This is how we run international operations. It's how we're going to run it here, because they're experienced, wise people with good judgment, and we're trusting them to go out there and make national strategic decisions. That is incredible. For an organisation like us to be in that position, and for Grayshirt to be able to step forward and do this is remarkable. It is a very, very exciting and scary time for us. But we're going to do this because we always do. And we always get it right. And we get it right because of you guys. I will keep you all updated as this develops over the next day, 2 days, 3 days. Chillmark is now 24/7, round the clock, rocking and rolling. And we will keep you all informed. And we're going to need to be able to call on you, because the country is going to need to be able to call on you. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for never backing up when it matters. Okay, I am so proud to have you all in this organisation, and I love you all, Tribe. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.